So anatomical landmarks of the maxillary and mandibular arches have been extensively covered by Dr. Ajay, so I am not going to go into detail, but I am going to emphasize on these 4 factors in the maxillary arch, that is inciso papilla and crest of the alveolar bone, and in the mandibular arch it is retromolar pad and the residual alveolar bone. So let us go ahead with the fabrication of the occlusal rims. So first thing what you do after you fabricate a master cast, I hope you know primary impression, secondary impression, then you fabricate the master cast, and in the master cast you have to have a proper 3 millimeter land area, so that those areas can be utilized for as a reference for the teeth arrangement. First thing what you do is draw a mid palatine line on the maxillary arch and the inciso papilla. And in the mandibular arch, you draw the mid-crustal line as shown in the photograph. Then what you do is you extend these these lines. You draw a mid-crustal line on the maxillary arch also, and extend that line onto the land of the cast, and extend the lower crest of the ridge line onto the land of the cast. I'll show you why this is so much important. Then we have already drawn the inciso papilla, mark the center of the inciso papilla, and mark another line, this small little blue line. Can you see where my cursor is moving? That is around 8 to 10 millimeters anterior to this center of the inciso papilla. This small little line denotes the labial surface of the maxillary anterior, and the maxillary anterior should not go beyond this line. So these are all called as reference lines. So in the maxillary arch there is one more line called as CPC line, that is canine papilla canine line, which bisects the inciso papilla and which is perpendicular to the mid palatine line. And in the mandibular arch you draw the retromolar pad and mark 3 parts of the retromolar pad and extend the line on the land of the cast, the junction between the upper third and the lower 2/3. Okay. So after drawing these reference lines, let us go ahead with the making of occlusal rims. So an occlusal rim is defined as an occluding surface built on the temporary or permanent denture basis for the purpose of making maxillomandibular relationship and arrangement of teeth. So there are certain objectives of the occlusal rim also. So you make the occlusal rim, you do the vertical, you adjust the lip support, you adjust the lip fullness in the patient. Of course, I know that you guys have not been exposed to any clinical procedures, but you will have to imagine at this point of time. Then the most important is to mark the lines on the occlusal rim. These markings will help you arrange the anteriors. First thing which you mark is the midline, then you mark the canine line, and then you mark the smile line or high lip line. Next, the objective is to record the maxillomandibular relationship, then establish the vertical and horizontal overlap, that is overjet and overbite, and then arrange the artificial teeth. So now in the photograph, you can see on the left upper corner, the patient comes to you, a edentulous patient. You make the primary, secondary, and master cast. You fabricate the occlusal rims. Then in the occlusal rim, you place the occlusal rim in the patient's mouth. Draw the midline, draw the smile line, draw the canine line. The canine line always have to be drawn in a slanting manner, and you adjust the vertical as well as horizontal relationships using this Fox plane. In fact, Fox plane has to be made parallel to interpupillary line and the Camper's plane, that is allotragal line, and the occlusal rim is ready. So the height of the occlusal rim is very important as far as second years is concerned, because you don't do any procedures in the patient's mouth. So in the anterior zone it should be 22 millimeters. This I am not going to detail because everybody knows that, everybody has been doing all these things. 22 millimeters from the depth of the sulcus, and in the labial there should be 15 degrees labial inclination, maybe slight inclination like 10 to 15 degrees. And in the posterior where my cursor is moving, it is very important to have a 45 degree slant in the posterior, which I most of the times find students don't do this, either they forget in the examination, because this is a space where the lower denture base sometimes interfere. So you slant this occlusal rim. In the lower arch, in the anterior, the height of the occlusal rim should be 18 millimeters from the depth of the sulcus, and in the posterior it should be 2/3 of the retromolar pad. So as far as width is concerned, the anterior width is 4 to 6 and posterior width is 6 to 8 millimeters. Anterior width is always less because of the labiolingual dimension of the central incisors and lateral canine are much lesser than the posterior. So 3 techniques of making the occlusal rims: rolled wax technique, metal occlusal rim former, and preformed occlusal rims. Well, we'll just read the rolled wax technique, where you take a base plate wax, you heat evenly and roll it like a small roll, then just pull that roll on either side so as to make the center portion slightly thin. You place it on the temporary denture base or a permanent denture base, whichever you are using, and in the maxillary arch you make it in a U shape, and in the mandibular arch make it in a slightly V shape. Then the space which is created below this wax rim, you either press, because the roll is already soft, you press and adapt the wax, or you take the wax spatula or wax knife. My favorite instrument is this wax knife. This wax knife has a curved end, and you hit the curved end and make the posterior portion buccal aspect as concave, as shown in this the third photograph. There is a reason for making this, which we are going to discuss. Then you take a hot plate, make it parallel. I mean, reduce the height, adjust the height to 22 and 18 millimeter for the maxillary and mandibular respectively. Sprinkle few drops of water on the glass slab or glass plate, whichever you are using. Then place this occlusal rim and check whether even contact is there on the occlusal rim. So now it is so mandatory to have the concave surface because I always tell my students the beginning should be perfect. Always whether it is an teeth arrangement or tooth preparation or whatever exercise you are doing, if the beginning is not correct, that means if my occlusal rims are not perfectly dimensioned, I am definitely going to land in trouble while teeth arrangement. So now the white portion what you see here is called as potential denture space. The potential denture space means the space which is occupied between the tongue and the buccinator muscle in the posterior, and tongue and the orbicularis muscle in the anterior. So this buccinator muscle has to rest on the buccal surface of the occlusal rim, or in turn the denture. So you have to make the buccal surface concave. So that is the reason why the wax knife, the curved end of the wax knife is used to make the buccal surface concave. The other technique is fabrication of occlusal rim using metal occlusal rim formers, which we don't use often. So now the occlusal rims are ready. Now our next exercise is to orient the occlusal rims on the articulator. So now I introduce the term articulator. You have all been using articulator, that is called as mean value articulator. So we'll just go through a little bit of articulators. Articulator is defined as a mechanical device which represents a temporomandibular joint and jaw members to which maxillary and mandibular cast may be attached to simulate some or all the jaw movements. Basically, for all practical purposes, wherever the occlusion is involved, we have to use the articulator. Whether it's a 3-unit fixed partial denture or a complete denture processes, an implant or whatever, we have to use articulator, do the movements and then proceed with the prosthesis. These articulators are classified as non-adjustable, semi-adjustable and fully adjustable articulators. Main purpose of the articulator is to simulate or is to facilitate the maxillary and mandibular cast to be mounted on them and replicate the same arc of closure with the help of a face bow. But you guys don't do the face bow, so we have some other principles or landmarks with which you can mount the occlusal rims on the mean value articulator. So this is the one which we use at undergraduate level. This is called as mean value articulator. The left one, the blue color photograph is a little better quality mean value articulator, which is highly recommended to use them, which has got a mounting plate, but otherwise all the values are fixed. Here what you see is we have an upper member, lower member, incisal guide pin, condylar guidance, incisal guidance and horizontal bar. So I want to emphasize on condylar guidance and incisal guide table. The condylar guidance is fixed at 33 degrees. This has been arrived by doing a lot of anthropological studies, and the incisal guidance is fixed at 15 degrees. This is the mean semi-adjustable articulator, the Hanam articulator, and here we can adjust the condylar guidance, we can adjust the incisal guidance, we can adjust many other parameters, but the main classification goes like archon and non-archon, where archon means the condyle is attached to the lower jaw, lower member of the articulator, and non-archon means the condyle is attached to the upper member of the articulator. So, so when we use semi-adjustable articulator, we use face bow. This instrument, what you see, is a very, very simple instrument to determine the occlusal plane and the hinge axis, and we mount it on the semi-adjustable articulator. But In your case, we have a horizontal bar and some thread relation what we use. So the top photograph shows an occlusal rim marked with the midline and the canine lines, and the lower the triangle what you see is the occlusal plane bisecting between the incisal pin and the horizontal bar. So for ease of mounting, we tie a thread and we just mount it on the articulator. So while mounting, we apply a separating media so that there will be easy separation of the master cast after the teeth arrangement. We make 3 notches, V-shaped notches, and in these notches we don't apply separating media so that it holds the